My name is Haytham Al-Hamwi. I'm from Daraya. This is a city near Damascus, the capital. In 2003, I was 27 years old.
Living with his wife and 2 children, Haytham was studying for a master's degree in occupational health. But ever since Bashar al Assad had inherited the presidency after his father's death in 2000, Haytham had felt a rising sense of injustice with the system in Syria.
They changed the law because the minimum age of president should be 40 in the constitution, but they changed it to make it 34 to be appropriate for Bashar to be a president. And that story humiliated the Syrians. We felt that like we were sheep, not humans. But in such a situation, nobody can say no.
So Haytham and some friends set about trying to change the status quo by setting up a library.
We rented a place from our own money and we collected all our personal books in that place. And many students and normal people came to that library.
So why did you open that library? Because you felt that the people of Syria needed more education, more knowledge of different cultures? I mean, what was the idea behind that library?
Yes. We think that the main issue is the education, is to know what's the meaning of freedom, what's the meaning of dignity, by reading about other cultures, by reading about our history, because we after 40 years of dictatorship we forgot many of those meanings.
But within a week of opening, the Syrian security services closed down the library and sent Haytham for daily investigations. He had to report to a political security officer early in the morning and stayed there until late at night for 40 days.
Scary and boring, and because they only ask us about 1 or 2 questions every day and leave us for the rest of the day in a room without any furniture. So it was boring and exhausting.
What question would they ask you?
Why you open this library? Who gave you money? Why you have... because we have a weekly session like a journal club. We discuss books or articles. So why you are gathering like that? You should take permission from the government.
This experience only made Haytham and his friends more determined to continue with their social action. They started with cleaning the streets. To be active, to be positive in that society is... I will respect myself when I do something like that. We started another campaign against corruption. We made a poster about anti-bribe poster, about people putting money in the pocket of policemen. Then, in 2003, they organised a protest against the invasion of Iraq.
And that march wasn't organized by the government, which is very rare in Syria. So if you put all of...
But you wouldn't have thought that would have been a problem for you to have organised a silent
march?
No,
we know that, but...
Especially because that would be something perhaps the government would have supported as well.
Look, if you say, I like this president, but without their permission, they will not agree.
The Iraq protest march, attended by around 250 people in Daraya, led to Haytham's arrest. For 3 months, he was kept inside a cramped cell with 30 other inmates, without any natural light, breathing stale air, without seeing his family or knowing what he was charged with. Then Haytham was finally brought in front of a military tribunal. He sat alone in front of a high-ranking officer in full uniform.
I entered the room. He told me, sit down. I sat down. He told me, okay, if we release you, are you going to do the same actions again? I told him, yes, I will do, because everything I did was for the benefit of my country and for my nation. He said, he started shouting at that time, and he threatened me that I will imprison you for 15 years. I told him, okay, if the law says like that, no problem.
Why did you say that? Because, anybody in that same situation would have just backed down at that point.
What was going in my head that this is what I expected before. I know that they don't like word no. The main issue in Syria and other countries under dictatorship is people don't say no. And the leaders never hear this word. And this is the main problem, keeping silent all the time, obey their unjust orders. This is the main problem. He told me, will you obey the emergency law? I told him I will never obey emergency law because it's humiliating me. And emergency law should be only when there is a war situation.
And what was his reaction?
He insulted me.
He swore at you?
Yes, and...
what did he do, call you a dog or something?
More than that, by very bad words. And then he told me, do you ask for mercy? I told him I ask for justice.
After this exchange, Haytham was sent into solitary confinement in a dark and cold basement for 7 months.
It was a very bad moment, especially first week in the solitary cell. I started to ask myself, was it right what I did? But after that, I felt more strong after that week. Maybe because that week I had no light at all at my solitary cell. I thought that this is a normal situation, but then I discovered that the light was broken. And I asked the jailer to replace it, and it took about 1 month to replace it.
So after a week, you kind of got a bit more acclimatized?
Yes, and I started talking with other prisoners in the nearby solitary.
So there were many of you, you could talk through the walls?
Yes, but not all the time, because it depends on the jailer, if he's friendly.
So what did you talk to the other prisoners about?
Everything, especially jokes. You know, people don't believe that, but really, we laughed from our heart at that in those days. But maybe just to cover our sadness in our heart.
A chance event which also helped lift his spirits came after the human rights group Amnesty International highlighted his case.
One morning, the jailer came down, and I noticed that he was holding a small radio in his pocket. I told him, can I borrow that radio for 5 minutes only? I just wanted to listen to the news at least once. He told me, okay, but please don't tell anybody that I give you that radio. I took that radio, I tried to find any channels of that. There was no signal at all at that because it's in basement. Then I went to the corner of the cell, and I put the antenna in the water pipe. And it catched BBC Arabic. And by chance, they were talking about us. They were talking about Daraya group who were in prison for about 5 months, and that human rights organization asking the Syrian regime to release them. I was really surprised. I was really happy.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really, it's only 5 minutes. I took the radio for 5 minutes, opened it. I listened to our story in BBC Arabic. I realized that we're not forgotten, and that people know about us. God always sent us such encouragement every time.
Haytham was eventually released from prison 2 years later. He now lives in the UK with his family. But amid current protests at home, his 65-year-old father was recently arrested by the Syrian authorities.